If you're spending less than $20 a month for prescription drugs, great. If not, then our monthly fee RX service might be a good option for you. Check for yourself at monthlyfeerx.com. And our quote from the late Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., "The time is always right to do what is right." Pretty cool. The time is always right to do what is right. And for me, what is right is to take a break and then come back with your calls. Plus, the city councilor that has decided that he wants to be in the Russian military. When we come back, he has our Town Square Sunday preview coming up in just a little bit. I want to go back to this thing dealing with New Beer's Day just for a second. About 25 years ago, maybe it's been a little bit longer, maybe it's been 30 years now, the package stores weren't open in Massachusetts. Remember that? We couldn't go into a packy and buy beer, wine, hard liquor because of those staid blue laws. Remember that? And in fact, it wasn't too many years prior to that we could not go into the grocery stores or any of the stores because of the blue laws. Now imagine on Sundays. Let me be more specific about that. On Sundays. Tomorrow is Sunday, and it's New Beer's Day. Can you imagine what it would be like New Beer's Day, and you couldn't go into a packy? I suppose a lot of the bars would be filled with people. I'm going to back off of that statement for a second. I'm just finding out over the past, 20 hours, that there's such a thing known as New Beer's Day and New Beer's Eve. Did you know about it prior to me mentioning it? Maybe you did. All the power to you. I mean, it's of the things that we bring up that we commemorate on this particular day. Those two, the eve and the day, certainly fit the bill of what we should be out commemorating. Be mindful of how much you're going to consume. But be that as it may, Prohibition was such a stain on this nation. It blossomed organized crime. I think we have a few families still in existence here in the Commonwealth that made a pool of money by running liquor. I don't know if any families might come to mind for you. But, it always seems to work. Same thing with drugs. And I don't want to really if you want to, we can. The same kind of prohibition, only a lot longer, has been going on with drugs. And, of course, there is the thought, well, when people are on drugs, they really don't know what they're doing. They're out of their mind. It's about money. It's always about the money. And if you're in the illegal business, aren't you doing your best? I'm talking about the kingpins now. Aren't you doing your best to make sure that cocaine, heroin, fentanyl to a certain extent remains illegal? Because if it's legal, there goes your business. There goes your business. So let me just ease your mind. The city councilor is not from Fall River. The city councilor is not from New Bedford. The city councilor happens to come from Holyoke, out in the western part of the state. His name, Wilmer Perillo Mata. And apparently there is a video that's been released by Russian media that shows this guy joining the Russian military. Now, when I first read it, I thought to myself, don't our politicians, city, state, federal, don't they swear allegiance? Don't they take an oath to uphold our Constitution here? Well, this guy, Perillo Mata, apparently was set to go to trial back in January. Child pornography charges. Not in Massachusetts, but in Rhode Island. He didn't show up, but he did catch a flight, and apparently he took that plane from D.C. to Turkey and then somehow made his way up into Russia, where he has apparently joined the Russian military. Wow. What a turn of events. Now, I don't know anything about the child pornography charges. I don't know how bad this guy is, or if he, just got caught with porn. I don't know. Not going to try to make an excuse for that. But he must have thought it was pretty bad that he needed to leave the country. And I suppose maybe never to come back. I don't know, but I don't think he left the country because he was a sympathizer for the Russians and he wanted to fight against the Ukrainians, although there is something in one of the stories that kind of alludes to the fact that he did help the Russians in one of their battles. Apparently, Wilmer Perillo Mata used to serve in our National Guard. Man, can you imagine that? What made him turn? What made this guy turn? 508-996-0500 is how you get through to the program. I'm going to get through to Studio 6 and 7/8. That's where Jim Phillips has an update. He's going to tell us about tomorrow's Town Square Sunday.
Good morning, Brian. Good morning, everyone. Here's what's happening this week on Town Square Sunday. The inaugural New Bedford Film Festival takes place April 18th to the 21st. We'll talk with the festival creator, Ethan Diagia, about the festival and his acclaimed documentary, Love Letters for New Bedford. Joe Ritter of the New Bedford Fishing Heritage Center talks about upcoming programs for the months of April and May, and also unveils 3 major events for the summer. And in an encore interview, members of the New Bedford Economic Development Council discussed the region's housing crisis and what can be done to increase housing stock. I'm Jim Phillips. Join me for Town Square Sunday morning at 6 and 11 on 1420 WBSM and 99.5 FM.
Thank you, Jim. It's time now for the Bitcoin Biz Barometer. And as I like to say, what goes up can easily come down. And it certainly has over the past week or two. In fact, Bitcoin is down about 2,000 from its high, down $1,921 from last Saturday at this time, coming in this morning at $68,100. Still, if you would put money into Bitcoin, bought one Bitcoin last year, you'd only be up about $30,000. Only. Ethereum down 162, coming in at $3,341. Binance Coin registering at $582. That's down 22 from last week at this time. Everything is down. Solana, 177, down 21. XRP, down 3 cents at 59 cents. Dogecoin, also down 3 cents at 18 cents. And Cardano, at 58 cents, that is down 7 cents from the same period last week. That's your Bitcoin business barometer for today, April 6th, 2024. I get my numbers all the time from coinmarketcap.com. They don't pay me. Wish they would, but they don't. But I can tell you from all the different places that I've looked at for correlating these numbers, there is no better than coinmarketcap.com because their system updates each and every second. 365 or 366 days of the year. CoinMarketCap.com. So, as you know, I get into following your tax dollars. And my tax dollars, too. 400,000 doesn't seem like a lot of money when we're talking millions and billions and trillions of dollars. 400,000 New Bedford bucks, which has already been set aside for the school department, is now in the midst of being transferred from another category within the school department to go towards security. In particular, the school committee is set to vote Monday evening to approve spending 400,000 tax dollars for 200 new security cameras. And what I've read, there is nothing that tells me that these cameras, the current cameras, are broken. But from what I'm understanding is there are some old cameras over at the high school. They're called out of sync with other cameras within the system. 200 cameras. Some will replace the old cameras, and basically the whole new system is supposed to put everything in balance so the two systems can shake hands. One of the things that I noticed in reading the story, and I saw it at New Bedford Light, Colin Hogan wrote the piece, is that the finance person over at the school department was explaining to Colleen DeWicki, one of the school committee members, and Melissa Costa, I believe is the other one, the other school committee member, about why this had to happen. And by marrying the systems into one, that person stated it makes it, easier to respond to things. And I thought to myself, look, you might be able to see it on the cameras, but that doesn't mean it's going to be easier to respond to it. What happens if nobody's sitting down at the cameras at that particular time? Somebody might have had to go to the bathroom or something like that. Oh, well, somebody could take, that's a story you hear all the time. Yet, things fall through the cracks. So, anyway, $400,000, is that a good expenditure or a bad one? Or maybe you think that money should be spent in another direction. Colleen DeWicki of the school committee basically wanted that money to be used for teachers and, other things to help students. Yet, DeWicki and Costa seemed to approve when push came to shove. They said, okay, we'll bring this to the school committee, the full committee, with our blessing, and they are set to vote on it Monday evening over at the Keith Middle School. All right, let's hear from you. 508-996-0500. You're first up today. Hello. Oh, I lost you? Okay, well then, Hello to you.
Hello to you.
Well, it's me.
Yeah, I know it is. Living large. Hey, oath of office is kind of a funny thing when you think about it. You think it's taken seriously by anybody that, unless you're the dog catcher in the local area? I don't think any of these politicians that get elected to office or people that are appointed to office take it seriously at all, because you look at all the corruption around us, and it seems like those words. I almost kind of think you should start the day with your show on Saturdays with an oath of office, so that everyone can hear those words. Because I guess most people wouldn't really believe that any of these guys take it seriously.
Well, I would like to believe that there are a few. I'm going to back up. Ron Paul. When Ron Paul and Rand, the son, I believe they take the oath seriously. I don't know about how many of the others do.
Well, and they almost seem like caricatures of themselves, because they do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. When I look at the fact that if there's some corruption, let's just say the president, we won't say which president or what corruption because there's so many of them. That there's the check and balance, or the adjudication of what that person did wrong doesn't exist anymore, because if the AG decides not to bring them up on charges, it goes away. And they have a million reasons why. I mean, even Biden in this last thing with the documents, he had the report come out. And
he's too old.
He's a feeble old, nice feeble old man that doesn't remember a lot. No, this is the president of the United States, took an oath of office, and then you get to the protecting the country against threats, foreign and domestic. That's a weird one too, because all this illegal alien activity, you would think that in the percentage of people coming across illegally, there's terrorists, and you can go down the list, and yet they don't. That part of the oath of office doesn't seem to exist either, because they're not even trying to filter out who the terrorists are. It's just a run for the border.
I think that we can look at just what you brought up there. To your point, do they take it seriously? I don't think they think about the oath. I think that it's just a formality that they go through on January 3rd every other year.
It's the thing to say before the champagne, whatever that
maybe even after the champagne.
Well, you want a structured society that's successful. I think you have to have laws. You have to have people that take those laws seriously. And when you're in public office, the whole point is you're supposed to be taking care of your constituents and uphold the oath. And I don't know. I'm old enough now to kind of be shaking my head. So.
Well, don't shake it too much, because it'll fall off.
No, I'm not going to do that. Just going out for a little drive right now, and hopefully it stops raining someday. Yeah,
well, just move back to Seattle. It'll stop then.
I'm going south. I'm going to South Carolina.
Ooh, well, well, they're in the Final Four, or they're in the Final Two now. So have a good.
That's good.
Were you the one that called that said they should change the name from Gamecock to something else?
From what?
Their nickname, South Carolina University of South Carolina Gamecocks to Game something else, because the women shouldn't be known as cocks.
No, that wasn't me. I don't like the name Gamecocks because it's such a regional term, but no, I definitely didn't say that.
All right. Good enough.
I think the women are strong enough to understand what's going on.
Well, but do they want to?
Well, that's up to them to vote it out.
All right. Thanks for the call. 508-996-0500. Hello.
Good morning, Brian. How are you, sir?
Winging my wang.
Good. It's absolutely right. I do agree with you about Ron Paul. He's kind of like the only lonely voice in that hill for the last maybe 15 to 20 years, like since he's been up there. And I don't understand why people complain, but But someone like him makes a lot of sense, and there's no support in backing him. So it goes to show you the powers that be, that money talks. And your last call is absolutely right. It's just a formality, because basically these politicians, they were, but now more than ever, Brian, they're kind of like NASCAR. And I wish we could see all the patches of all the corporations that support them, so we know where they really stand. Some patches are bigger than others, so they get more influence. It's kind of like that NASCAR jacket that like all the races wear. So, you know, in all point of like, to be totally clear of where they stand, is they should just wear the jacket. So like we know, you know, Enron or Shell Oil or any corporation. So like we know where they stand. I think.
Well, I don't think it has to just be corporations. I think you can look at some of the PACs that are out there, like APAC. And PACs, you know, yeah. and I don't mean to just label them, but you've got the American Bar Association, you've got the pharmaceutical company. There are all kinds of money that runs around up there.
We learned in these last 4 years the most powerful lobby in this country, if not the world, is the pharmaceuticals. We've learned that. We've learned what happened. We've learned the lies. We've learned how they're being so powerful. They control the news. You look at every commercial before and after, all the sponsors were pharmaceutical companies, the majority of them, that control Fox, CNN, NBC, ABC, all the alphabet soup.
Yep.
Okay?
I watch it, yeah. You're right.
Yeah. And it was only the bloggers and the people on the outside, the fringe, that were being called radicals, that were saying it was out of a lab, that it was saying, why are we wearing masks walking in the beach? Doesn't that look stupid? Why are we doing one ways in a grocery store? Really? I broke that rule day one, Brian, as people give me like that look. Because I'm sorry, I was always under the impression, just because you're stupid, I'm not going to act stupid. I'll give you a perfect example, Brian. This week, I was somewhere like in New Bedford, okay? And the road was closed off to the right. And there was a light, and the light was red. There's no traffic coming. They're doing construction. The road is closed. Why is everybody... Here I am, like 6 cars back, stopped in a red light, and everybody's waiting and waiting and waiting. So I backed up, went around everybody, as everybody looked at me, and just took my left and left. And all these morons are waiting on the red light where the road is closed. There's no traffic coming. This is what I mean about the common sense, Brian. There's no common sense anymore.
Well, I don't think there ever was common sense, but there is no sense.
There's no sense.
Look, did people follow what you did?
You know something? So it's funny you say that. I looked back, and they were still standing there.
Well, I thought you would have been a trailblazer, but apparently not.
And I looked back and said, what are they waiting for? There's no traffic. You could turn. There's nothing going on here. But it goes to my point. Our country, we were known as being independent thinkers, as being okay to kind of rock the boat, being okay to disagree with somebody. When the hell did we all become sheep to the slaughter? That's what blows my mind. It's like,
I'm going to say the 70s, 80s was the beginning of it, but it's really heightened when we turned the century.
I think so, and I think this whole COVID experiment proved that if they put enough fear out there, that they can manipulate the majority of people, which it was proven. We had people that didn't talk to people because they didn't wear a mask. We had relatives that alienated other relatives because they went out and they didn't succumb to the so-called rules. How quickly we forget what this government did to us. I will never forget. This is a story we have a responsibility to pass down to the next generation. The manipulation and the control of the people that happened.
You know, it's interesting as I listen to you say that, because not knowing your particular age, but my sons were young adults during this crisis, passing it down to them. They kind of followed the rules because that's what they learned in school, to follow the rules. So at best, I could pass it to the grandkids, but then I would be at odds with the kids trying to pass it to the grandkids.
Yeah, it's difficult because you know very well the people that control the word in the schools are going to control the information of the future books. And this is why they want everything online. If you notice what's happening across the country, especially up in Canada and here, they're alienating so many books, saying it's racist, saying it doesn't include equality or equity. So they're burning the books. They're getting rid of them, and they encourage people. Oh, everything's online. Everything's online. Of course, you could control online. That's why it comes to a point. You'll be surprised, Brian. I used to get rid of books. I love history. I'm keeping all my history books. I'm keeping all of them, and I'm telling.
You don't want to put them online?
Hell no. Hell no, because there's a lot of history in there. I guarantee you they're going to try to erase the good and the ugly. That's history is history. Everything has to be told on both sides. But you can see by the people who are being elected into school committee. Look at our local town. We got to be very careful because that's what's going to happen, Brian. That's the end game.
You know, the person that I voted for didn't win on the school committee.
I'm the same way, too. Hey, Brian, I'm going to leave you with this. I just read a story right now. Our petroleum supply, our emergency reserve, is down to 363 million barrels. It's 43% less than what it was when Biden took office. It was 638 million barrels, but he depleted it during the election of 2022. I think it was 2023. It's a Senate election, so he could lower the cost of the gas. Now he's just came out with a statement. His administration says that they're not going to fill the reserves because it's too expensive to fill them back up. Okay, this is the stupidity.
This is the
that
move.
We're dealing with.
This is the move that they're trying to get folks to go electric.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
I think it is going to happen. I think
hey, Brian,
there are going to be a lot of us that are going to go in kicking and screaming, but it's going to happen.
Would you want that car in your garage? I want you to go on YouTube. I saw the last one in January in Colorado. They had a hybrid and I think it was all battery and also a hybrid in the garage. The thing caught fire. It self-ignited on its own. It burned the whole garage down. Is they were able to save the house because it was connecting. And then they have a special tarp that they cover the car with, so it smothers all the oxygen so it doesn't reignite. It takes so many gallons of water to put that thing out, and then it still could reignite. So they got to seal it up with a special. I think the cover is $35,000 or $45,000 special tarp. It's almost like a fire blanket that goes over the car to prevent it from reigniting. Do you want a timing bomb inside your garage? Really? I don't.
You know what? So my answer.
I have neighbors of mine.
My answer is eventually we're going to be there, and so I'm willing to wait a little bit longer. For the price to come down and for the technology to improve. But yeah, I'm down with what that program is going to be. I like what China has done as far as their cars. I haven't heard of any of them really blowing up yet. Now there may be one or two, but what the incident you're talking about is an isolated incident, and I'm sure they're going to happen. Just like when the first cars came out, there were problems. Just when people first started riding horses, the horse would break its leg.
Yeah, but we're
improving.
No, it's happened more than that. Just in China, a year ago, they had a huge factory fire that the batteries exploded. It was conveniently not talked about too much. And if we want to go green, that there's engines now that can run on water. Why don't we do that? Oh, I know why. Because no one makes money.
Yeah.
Okay? We have engines right now. They do it in Iceland. The car runs on water. So that's as clean. And it blows out steam exhaust. It's water vapor. So we can do that. So why don't we focus on that?
You know what? You're bringing up a good point. You're saying, why don't we? Maybe it's the yous and me's that have to bring it to the forefront to the right people in order to bring it, instead of thinking, well, government's going to do it. I got to let you go because of time, but I do appreciate the call. Good thoughts. 508-996-0500. That's how you get on Brian's Beat today. Saturday morning, some sprinkles. Connecticut, South Carolina tomorrow. It's interesting. We're talking about the girls' finals, the women's finals, not the boy. Getting back to the idea of security cameras at the school, 400,000 tax dollars for 200 cameras. I don't know if that's a good price, a bad price, if the system is being taken advantage of because of the fact that, well, it's a school system. We can really soak these guys, get 400,000 out of them. I don't know. It's a lot of money to me. But you know what else it is? It would tell me, I don't think I want my kids in that school. If things are that bad that you need to go out and spend 400,000 for 200 cameras citywide. And I say this because it's happening in New Bedford, but I would say it in Dartmouth or Westport or any of the other systems. That's a lot of money, number one. And why do all the schools need these types of cameras? Oh, you got to be sure. How many of the private schools have cameras?